got a story here for you. We are going to be reading David and Goliath from 1 Samuel 16 through 17. This is a story of a young shepherd boy who faced a mighty giant and how he trusted God to save him. The Israelites wanted a king, so God gave them Saul. Saul was a good king at first, but then he began to disobey God, so God decided to choose a new king. Go to Bethlehem, God told his prophet Samuel, and find a man named Jesse. I've chosen one of his sons to be Israel's new king. I'll show you which one. So Samuel traveled to Bethlehem. After seeing Jesse's oldest son, Samuel thought, surely he must be the new king. But God said, no, it isn't him. You can only see what's on the outside of a man, but I can see inside his heart. So Jesse brought his next son to Samuel, and his next, and his next. 7 sons paraded before Samuel, but each time God said no. Do you have any more sons? Samuel asked. So Jesse sent for his youngest son, David, who was out tending sheep. When David came, God said, he's the one, anoint him. Samuel took a horn of oil and poured it over David, and from that day on the Spirit of the Lord was with him. But the Spirit of the Lord left Saul, and an evil spirit came to trouble him. Music will help you feel better, Saul's servant said. Let us find someone to play the harp for you. One servant remembered that David played the harp and sent for him. Whenever the evil spirit troubled Saul, David would play his harp and Saul would feel better. So David traveled back and forth from watching his father's sheep to play for Saul. Now Israel was at war with the Philistines. The Philistine army gathered on one hill while Saul and the Israelites faced them on another hill. The Philistines had a warrior named Goliath, and he was a giant. He stood 9 feet 9 inches tall. His armor weighed 125 pounds. He carried a huge bronze sword and a spear with a heavy iron point. One day Goliath marched out and shouted, "There's no need for all of us to fight. Choose one man to fight me. If he wins, we'll be your servants. But if I win, then you'll be our servants." Saul and the Israelites were terrified. No one wanted to fight Goliath. Every morning and every evening for 40 days, Goliath marched out and shouted his challenge to the Israelites, but no one dared to fight him. Jesse's 3 oldest sons were at the battle with Saul. One day, Jesse told David to go and check on his brothers. David reached their camp and found his brothers just as Goliath came marching out. He listened to the giant's shouts and then watched as all the Israelites trembled in fear. "Who is this Philistine to challenge the armies of the living God?" David demanded. King Saul heard about what David had said and sent for him. "I'll fight this Goliath for you," David told Saul. "You can't fight that giant," said Saul. "You're just a boy." But David said, "When a lion or a bear attacks my father's sheep, I grab it by its fur and strike it down. This giant will be like one of them. God saved me from the lion and the bear, and he'll save me from Goliath." Saul agreed to let David fight, and even gave him his own armor to wear. David strapped it on and tried to walk. "I can't even walk in these," he said, and took them off. Instead, David took his own staff and sling. Then after putting 5 smooth stones in his pouch, he set off to face Goliath. When Goliath saw David coming, he shouted, "Am I a dog that you come to fight me with sticks?" But David said, "You come to me with a spear and a sword, but I come in the name of God, and he will hand you over to me." David ran toward Goliath. As he ran, he slipped a stone into his sling. Round and round went the sling. At just the right moment, David let it go, and the stone sailed through the air. It hit Goliath right in the forehead, and he fell face down on the ground. When the Philistines saw that their hero was dead, they ran away. The Israelites gave a great shout and chased after them. And that was how God used David, a young shepherd boy, to defeat the mighty giant Goliath. In David, we see a picture of courageous faith in God's power. We also catch a glimpse of the coming king who no one would have expected or picked to win the victory, Jesus. Because he died and rose again, he is mighty to save. You will have suffering in this world. Be courageous. I have conquered the world. John 16:33. Good night, NBC kids. Thank you for reading with us. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow night.